Hey, what's up everyone? In this video I wanted to share something I stumbled upon when tinkering with multi-ailment setups today that gives permanent uptime for shocks on bosses with basically no investment if you're playing my Witch Hunter build, though really it's not something specific to Witch Hunter. Any Ascendancy can do this, but if you're a grenade build you're probably already using the right parts. I'm not talking about campaign bosses, I'm talking about T15 plus 3 levels bosses. I'm about to head into my first pinnacle boss fight, so I'll let you know how it goes there too, but I wanted to get this video out real quick first. I've also got some nice supports for auras that improve stun threshold for free. Somebody shared this with me. This isn't something I discovered myself. I'm assuming this is something that they'll fix at some point in the future because it's pretty clearly not working as intended. So use it while you can so it comes off the bug backlog. All right, so what do we have here? First, let's look at this boss fight. Watch the bar at the top. As long as I'm within 6 meters of the boss, and I can come in and out of that 6 meter radius, the boss will carry whatever shock I've applied to it. The shock is coming from a weapon swap I'm doing that fires a lower level Stormcaller Arrow with a support setup I'll get to in just a second. Now, it is a weapon swap to a bow, but I only have to do it once at the beginning of the fight, and it takes about half a second for both weapon swaps combined, and then 1 second for a Stormcaller Arrow to fire. The shocks are applied reliably. I've done this on 6 map bosses in a row, and all of them have had the same 35% shock applied to them. You should also be able to scale this a little bit farther. I haven't really invested a ton into doing this. I think I've spent about 8 exalts total. Some for a bow, which was pretty cheap, a 1x quiver, and a 4-link Stormcaller Arrow, level 13. All right, let's take a quick look at the setup. So I'm using a Radiant Grief, which ignites enemies in our presence. It's a low level ignite, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that they are ignited. And a Stormcaller Arrow, which has a comically high, like potential nerf target high, 800% more chance to shock on the bolt from Stormcaller Arrow. This is a level 13. You could certainly go higher. I just did a level 13 because that's the amount of dexterity that I had available and I didn't want to respec anything. Stormcaller Arrow paired with Stormfire gives us this permanent shock. So our enemies are always ignited thanks to Radiant Grief, and Stormfire keeps the shock applied to them on all the time. Now we can further blow this shock up with Overcharge, which gives us another 75% increased magnitude. The downside is completely irrelevant because the hat keeps the shock on thanks to Stormfire. And then we use Conduction to give another 100% more chance to shock. Now this is a 4-link setup. You could go 5 or 6. And certainly I'm going to look into the magnitude of this with some weapon swap points. But that's where I'm at right now. And this is a huge chunk of free damage for basically no cost. This is the bow that I picked. I went into trade and I sorted by flat lightning damage, descending, at a budget of 8 exalts, and I grabbed the one with the highest physical damage that I could, and then I put a couple runes in it. And then this is my quiver. This is a 2 mod quiver. I care nothing about anything on this except for the flat lightning roll and the accuracy roll. I'm not sure if accuracy actually matters here, but I figured why not? I only need 1 mod anyway, so why not throw accuracy in since it wasn't going to cost me anymore. And that's pretty much it. This gem setup will give a pretty sizable shock to all of the map bosses. And I'm going to see if I can push this a little farther, like I said. But one other thing I wanted to share is that you can socket supports on Wind Dancer. Not the buff, however, you can support Gale Force, which is the skill that happens when you are hit using a melee skill. And I know a bunch of you have said, hey, you should throw Blind on there. You can also add Unbreakable. So somebody shared this with me. This isn't something I discovered, but Unbreakable will give you additional stun threshold while using the skill, which is actually a great time to use it because I've been running a ton of Breach, and Breach is extremely dense. All right, that's all I've got. I'm going to update the Mobalytics guide. It's going to have the Stormcaller weapon swap information in it. Everything will be written down. If you're curious how it works, I'll try to explain it there in a little bit more detail. I've also changed the auras, so thank you to everybody who suggested I throw Blind on there, and thank you to the one person who suggested Unbreakable. All right, take care.